Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. I'm at the point in my renovations now where I've got the bulk of the stuff I need to throw out gone. I accumulate so much material, things that I say, this will be useful, so I'll put it aside and maybe in a year or two or whatever, something will come up and I'll use it in a project. And it never happens, and you just keep accumulating more and more of it, and it gets to the point where you can't even walk in your own basement, and that's where I was at. So a lot of that stuff's gone now, and I've got all the cleaning done, and I've just actually finished pressure washing the last section of the floor, and you can see it's still wet, but it's get to the point now where I can actually walk down here, which is really nice. So I'm going to try and keep it this way. But as you can see, there is still a fair amount of junk. This is stuff that's actually quite useful, and I will get to storing it, but my storage system right now is over full, even though I threw out a whole pile of stuff. There's still more. Normally, when this is not cluttered, underneath I keep rock, coral, gravel, shells, all that sort of stuff stored here. And on top, I keep wood offcuts, plywood and solid wood as well. And more importantly, where I keep my acrylic. These are the sheets, the 1/4 inch and 1/8. The blue stuff you see there. And there's actually even more of it behind this piece of styrofoam. This I had to buy because I needed a cushion between the last rack I just set up and the metal. And unfortunately, you can't buy small amounts of it. So it is going to stay there probably forever, but I think I'll find a better spot for it so I can actually access the materials I need there. A number of people have been asking me what I use for water, and normally the hose you see there stretches over to the other side of the basement, and that's how I do my water changes. You've seen it a number of times. But when I have specialty water I need, I use this. This is a 40-gallon drum, and it's filled with RO water. The unit is buried underneath all those hoses at the moment. It is a 4-stage. It's RO, carbon, micron filter, and deionizer as well. So it gives you really nice pure water, and it is something that I, like I said, need only when I'm doing specialty stuff. And speaking of water changes, all my water goes down through these two pipes. The black pipe there is for all the tanks that are on the external wall, and this one here is for the centralized one. I didn't really want to run a pipe across the floor as a trip hazard, so I just use a little hose here, and I can move that out of the way whenever I'm not doing water changes. So before I get onto that, let's just do this part here. This is a section of my basement where normally I couldn't even get into this. There's no path, no nothing, and it was crammed from floor to ceiling with just so much stuff. I've pared it down as much as possible. I have 2 buckets here which are full of aluminum offcuts and one with acrylic, and back there are a bunch of aquariums that I think I'll have use for. But again, they may end up being thrown out eventually as well. Normally what I do when I want to throw out an aquarium is I just give it to the Aquarium Society in town. But with all the COVID stuff, they're not even having meetings, so there's just no point in hanging on to them anymore. So I threw out the few that were left. And those 2 big stupid pipes I bought as an impulse, I don't know if I'm ever going to find use for them. A client was moving, I got them dirt cheap. But they are really actually too big to get a good edge on for the equipment I have. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with those. I had some ideas for filters when I first saw them, but I probably should have just left them where they were. This is where I store any of the rods, PVC, acrylic, and that sort of stuff, even some aluminum. It keeps it up out of the way. And it's also really easy, just by looking at the ends here, to pick out a piece that I need. And it's actually really kind of handy to have it that way. Now over to this side. This is my table saw, obviously, and the saw sled, and it's actually really quite useful. This is something that I really need to work on, but I haven't gotten to yet. Back when my kids were young, I built a bunch of storage systems for them for their toys and whatnot, just so they can just throw stuff in, and it's easy for little kids to do. But I got a good price on it, so I thought I would use it for some of the storage down here. and it's just pretty much outlived its usefulness. I do actually need to build some boxes and store this up properly, get some labels on them, but that is not for today. Normally I would have that fan running, but if I did, you probably wouldn't be able to hear anything. But you can see, hey, the floor is actually pretty cool. It's nice and clean. And these two machines here are in so many videos. This is my milling machine up front and my lathe in the background, and these things are just so amazing. Any precision work you want to do, these two things are absolutely amazing. I've had them for over 25 years now, and they just keep on going. I hope I haven't jinxed myself there with that, but they're great. On this side, as you can see, it is stacked with fish food and other stuff, but normally it is tool storage. Underneath, all those boxes are full of tools. If you ever do something like this for a living, people seem to think that every time you have a birthday or whatever, you should get more tools. So I end up accumulating quite a few of them. That's my metal cutting bandsaw with some fish food. This is the belt sander I made with some fish food. The belt sander is actually really useful. I use an awful lot for finishing stuff up, and it's really quite handy. And this is a bandsaw I was in the process of making. It is near finished, but the problem is I need to balance that wheel to that wheel, and I just haven't had the time to get to it with all the stuff I'm doing with YouTube and everything, and work and all that sort of stuff. So I'm hoping to get to it at some point in time. And this is just a pile of stuff that I probably should have thrown out, but there are actually uses for almost all of it, and I will eventually tidy that up and organize it, but not at the moment. So here is the Daphnia project I have, and I'm really liking this thing. It's actually doing really quite well. As you can see, if I can get underneath here, it is actually teeming with little buggers. So this is doing really well. Currently I am manually feeding it from the tank on the right to the tank on the left, but I will automate this at some point, and we'll see if I can get that even more dense with them. Now, this is not supposed to be here. It's supposed to be on the other side of the room, but during the process of moving it, one of the old wheels broke, so it's stuck here for the moment until I replace the wheels. I bought them, and unfortunately it's just kind of stuck in the middle of the way. Up here is the tank you guys seen lots of. It's a 7-footer. Currently I'm breeding OB zebras in it, and you can see in the background the high humidity rainforest build and the 5-stage. Right now I can't even get in there really because of all the renos, but they need a little bit of cleaning. Now normally these tanks are clear, but down here there was a bit of a rattle I heard, and there was a snail stuck in one of the pumps, so I unplugged it to get it out, and whenever you do that, it just dumps a bunch of stuff in the tanks. Currently, because I said with COVID, a bunch of my clients have their aquariums in idle, so I pulled out an awful lot of coral and other stuff out of tanks, and I have only one place to store it, and that's these two tanks. And unfortunately they're really overcrowded with way too much stuff right now. But gradually this is all going to get cleaned out and back into some servable use. So over here, these tanks here are in the central part. They're the ones that go to that hose. Even that's where the hose comes from. And these are in a lot of videos. They're going to probably get converted almost completely to underground filters with high humidity planters on top. That's a project I want to work on. I'm really liking that concept, and I think I'm going to devote this whole rack to that, just to test it out thoroughly. And then over on this side, this is the recycled rack, the original one, and there's a lot of stuff I need to do with that as well. But I'm going to save most of that stuff for the fish room vlogs on Sundays. And one of the reasons why I put these tanks so high up is it gives me more storage underneath here for more coral, more rock, more gravel, soil, all kinds of stuff. So like I said, even though I threw out so much stuff, there's just still so much left. This needs to get set up, It hasn't yet, obviously, but I had to wait till I got the renos done to do that. And now I think I'm at the point where I don't have to do so much work on actually just cleaning the fish room as I can actually get to the work. So one of the things I did during the renovations is I resurfaced that, and it's actually the point now, I think, where it is dry enough to... Yeah, it's actually the point now where I can actually use it, which is good. And that's pretty much my entire fish room. These two barrels here, I think I'll be... well, I use them for large water changes with clients where I actually have to mix the water before I put it in the tank. But I think I'm going to use them for, at least one of them, for an indoor pond. I use them sometimes for outdoor tubbing. This year was a bit wonky, so I didn't bother doing it. So I think I might, over the winter, try doing one indoors. I have to build a really intense lighting system for it, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes. Well, this video is getting a little long, so I think I'm going to end it shortly. I did want to show you the fish room here, but there's literally no way for me to find a spot anywhere where I can show you all the tanks at once. But I think you've seen the most of it, and they will all be appearing in videos, so as always, if you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe, and leave comments. Let me know what you think of my fish room. It needs a lot more work, obviously. I mean, this thing here is just tool storage and stuff, and it needs to get out of the way. And also I need to build new latches for it. But anyway, let me know what you think, and on Sunday I'll do actually a regular vlog for the fish room, because I want to get this thing hooked up properly, and I might get to the point where I actually have that automated. Again, we'll see how much time I have. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.